So the whole purpose of Shastra is to help us fix our mind on Krishna. It's not that we are in a mudha or a shipta or vikshipta state. We are not there. We are higher than that. However, knowing those states help us identify those states if they ever show up in our lives. So that's why Shastras give us so much of knowledge, because not just helping us progress, but also helping us know where we are falling trapped to, if we are falling trapped to something. Yes. So that's what the reason why Krishna, or we should see those. Yeah. So yeah, these were the 5 stages, right? Deluded, agitated, distracted, concentrated, and controlled. So, and there are a lot of people, right? As they say, as Prabhupada has taught us, out of the 8.4 million species, 400,000 are human species. So just imagine there's a big category of humans who are here, these 3. Udha, Shipta, Vikshipta. The majority of the people are there. Only a very rare percentage, just a few top percent are the people who become ekagra, who are able to focus their minds. And then out of that also, it's very rare to have a controlled mind. That's why Krishna says, right? Bahunam janmanam ante jnanvan mam prapadyate. So after many, many births does a person, mam prapadyate, he starts praying to Krishna, prapadyante, worships Krishna. Because we spend so much time here. And you all might already know this, but we means human beings have officially become worse than a goldfish, because goldfish has a attention span of 8 seconds. And the most recent that I heard in a class was humans now have an attention span of 7 seconds. That's the effect of having these shorts and reels and so forth. That's what they do to our mind, that we just cannot focus on one thing. We want constant agitation, constant stimulation of our brain. And because our brain is so constantly stimulated, we lose complete interest in other things, which are necessary for our life even for some time. So we lose interest. So we are officially worse than a goldfish now. So, okay. So let's move on. That was 10. Oh, that was up to 9, right? So, okay. So now let's come to 10. So from 10 onwards, I think from 10 to 36, what was that? Going back to... Yes, so 10 to 36 is Ashtanga Yoga. So 10 to 36 is Ashtanga Yoga. Then Arjun asked the question about a person who's not a complete success, who's not fully completed his Bhakti Yoga practice. What happens to that person? And so, and in the last, Krishna tells who is the perfect yoga. So that's really so this is Ashtanga Yoga is what we're going to kick off today. This is more of practices. Prabhupada in his purports always brings everything back to bhakti. So we'll see how these principles align to bhakti practices. That's what we're going to do. So let's go back to our 8, 9, 10. Oh, I think I'm in the wrong chapter. Which chapter am I? Oh, this is the 5th chapter. Right, 5th chapter. This is it. Oh yes, so we ended here, where we saw that how there are different definitions of a friend. In English, there's only one word, friend, but in Sanskrit, we see so many different definitions of this thought process of who's our friend, right? So Suhrid, right? Suhrid is a close intimate. He's a well-wisher. Mitra is a formal friend. Okay. Then Ari is actually an enemy. Ari is an enemy, right? Yeah, enemy. Yes, Ari is an enemy. Udasina. And then Udasin is somebody who's neutral. And then Madhyastha is somebody who mediates, acts as a discussion channel for two people who are fighting. And Bandhushu is like a brother, right? So that's beauty about Sanskrit, right? So Mitra, Bandhu, Sakha, Suhrit. That's the levels. Suhrit is the topmost. That's why Krishna says in the last 2 verses of the 5th chapter, Surhit Sarva Bhutanam. gyatva mam shantam. So he's suhrit. Like Prabhupada would always sign his letters, your ever well-wisher, because Prabhupada was suhrit for everybody, because he is pure devotee. So that's where we ended. So from 10th onwards, Krishna will start talking about the qualities, not the qualities, the practices of Ashtanga. So let's look at this. A transcendentalist should always engage his body, mind, and self in relationship with the Supreme. He should live alone in a secluded place and should always carefully control his mind. He should be free from desires and feeling of possessiveness. So go to a secluded place, the ekaki, the word ekaki, which means ekatla. But nowadays it's practically impossible to find an ekaki place, right? And then there's a verse, nirashir. So we sometimes can mistake nirashir with nirasha. Nirashir means without being attracted to anything else. Nirasha means hopelessness. So this is fine. So Sanskrit is very fine. So you have to be sure what word is being used in what context. So nirashir means they don't have any attraction for anything. So they don't have, but it does not mean nirasha, hopelessness. So that's what is being mentioned here, right? And there are the qualities that are being given. So he should live in a secluded place and control his mind, and should be free from desires and feeling of possessiveness. So Krishna initially starts with a more gross aspect. Okay, live in a secluded place. He becomes more subtle, control your mind. And then even subtler than that, freeing yourself from desire and possessiveness. So Krishna is giving those steps. How does that person behave? Okay, so Prabhupada, let's see what Prabhupada is saying. Nevertheless, all of these are instructed herewith to be constantly engaged in their particular pursuits, so that they may come to the higher perfection sooner or later. The first business of a transcendentalist is to keep the mind always on Krishna. One should always think of Krishna and not forget him for a moment. Concentration of the mind on the Supreme is called samadhi or trance. In order to concentrate the mind, one should always remain in seclusion and avoid disturbance by external objects. He should be very careful to accept favorable and reject unfavorable conditions that affect his realization. And in perfect determination, he should not hanker after unnecessary material things that entangle him by feelings of possessiveness. All these perfections and precautions are perfectly executed when one is directly in Krishna consciousness, because direct Krishna consciousness means self-abnegation, wherein there is very little chance for material possessiveness. Yeah. So Prabhupada is telling us that if we focus our mind on Krishna, and he's giving us some steps which are coming from the nectar of instruction. Accept favorable things. There were 6 favorable things that you have to accept and 6 things that you reject. Atyahara priyashascha prajalpo niyamagraha jansanghacha lolyamcha sadbhir bhakti vinashyati. Those are unfavorable. Utsaha nishya tattat karma pravartana sangatyage shato vritti sadbhir bhakti prasiddhyati. It increases your bhakti. That's favorable for us. Right? So that's what Prabhupada is bringing those some elements from there here also. Okay. So let me ask you this. What do you all understand by this statement? One should always think of Krishna and not forget him for a moment. This is a very famous phrase. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. That's the famous verse. I've heard this many times. Many senior disciples of Prabhupada use this phrase. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Actually, Bhakti Vinod Thakur in Jiva-doya, his book Jiva-dharma, sorry, he talks about this concept, right? Always think of Krishna, never. So what do you all think? What do you all think it means? Who all are there? Let me see if somebody wants to tell me. Somebody wants to tell me? Give me a chance. Sandeep Prabhu, you want to try?
Sure. Harisha Prabhu. So Prabhu, one of the analogies I read, I think maybe in the Gita itself or some other scripture, is how the mother has an eye on the baby, when she's cooking or something. So she always knows that the baby is there, doing fine, and if he's crying or not, but she's also doing her work. So something similar, where we are always thinking about Krishna, but also doing our duties.
Okay. Yeah. So That's a good one. Yes. Who else wants to give it a try? All are there. Saina, are you there? You want to give it a try?
Yeah, so I think that this is essentially referring to how I always connect this with like enchanting, where it's referring to like we should cry out to Krishna like a baby cries out to his mother, and like essentially like not even when we're chanting, oftentimes our attention is not there. So especially when we're chanting, our attention should constantly be on Krishna, and when we're able to do that, we'll be able to also carry that remembrance in other points of our day.
Okay, keeping Krishna, remembering Krishna all the time. Okay. Yeah. There are two aspects to this, what we are being told here. Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. So they sound some very similar. If you tell it to a layman that, hey, always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. He says it's the same thing, but it's a nuanced thing there. So that's good, Simon. Okay, thank you. Who else? Who else wants to give it a try? So,
Prabhu, maybe I was
yes.
just wanting to say something. So, Prabhu, maybe we have to keep our senses, all senses, to the service of Krishna, so that our senses get not get distracted,
Hmm.
and we have to give the service by by our senses, so that we will not attracted by the Maya.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. Yes. So there is positive engagement of the mind, as you're saying. Yeah. By which you chanting, reflecting, hearing, serving, and so. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Prabhuji, sorry.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I want to add one more point. Like we read in earlier shlokas that whatever we do, we should do for Krishna.
Hmm.
Good things, like our all daily life activities within the like chanting, reading, or cooking, or cleaning, or reading something, or helping somebody. Whatever we are doing in our whole daily life, it should be dedicated to Krishna. That's how we can always remember Krishna, and we will not forget, because whatever we are doing, we are dedicating the result to Krishna and for his service. That's what I mean to say about this line. That's what I understood.
Okay. Thank you. Keshav, you want to give it a try? What do you think this means? Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna.
I think that it means whenever we're doing whatever we're doing, we should always try to remember Krishna. Because I read somewhere that if we want to love someone, we need to know more about them. And then we always need, like, let's say you like love someone, or like you have like a spouse or a friend, you're always thinking about them. If you really truly love them, you're always thinking about them. So similarly, the basically in Krishna consciousness, we're just trying to develop Krishna, love for Krishna. So that's why we're always trying to remember him, because like fake it till you make it. So even if we don't love Krishna so much right now, that we can always remember him, we just should always try to think of Krishna so that we can create love for him.
Okay. Yes, Chulanya, have your hand up.
Yeah,
Oh,
I just thought, I'm not sure if that would be the right answer, but I thought about the Agasura Leela, where all the they're not like sure about whether this is a cave or if it's like a snake or who it is, but at one point they're like, oh, Krishna will always take care of it. So probably that is like one way of always remembering him and not forgetting him.
okay. Thank you. Okay. Let's Deepti, yes, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yes, so for just like you said, like there are two aspects of it. So I guess most of us spoke about the first one, how to engage our senses or always think of Krishna. But I was thinking about the second part, not to forget him even for a moment.
Mhm.
That would be, I think, like, um, so not to forget Krishna in both the conditions. When we are super happy, we shouldn't forget him. When we are super sad, or the situations are very bad, we should not forget him at that time too. So be
Okay. Yeah, that's a good aspect. Yes. Yeah. So the way I understood this, and all of you are correct, is once again, it's not something very black and white. There can be different aspects. One thing that I like, there's an analogy that I heard somebody in one of the classes who was explaining this, that when you have a flame, right? Let's say you have put on fire somewhere in a pit, and remembering means you are adding fuel to keep the flame strong. That's basically remembering Krishna. And not forgetting is to protect the flame from the wind. That's the way they were explaining. And then further on, the Maharaj explained that both relate to the same flame, but one is positive nourishment, the other is a protective restraint. Okay. So not forgetting is a protective restraint, and remembering is a positive nourishment. Right. So the acharyas, why they have been bringing this out is because they want to cover both. There are two tendencies to our mind. One is that our mind is very dull. It doesn't want to do bhakti. And that solves is by positive engagement, by remembering Krishna, by chanting. We do chanting, hearing, reading, and so forth. The second quality of our mind, or not necessarily a good quality, is that mind is very distracted. Right? So that is solved by not forgetting. That is the guarding principle. So there's a fine nuance to it. It's not like perfect. So yes, so the remembering aspect, smaranam, is positive engagement of the mind, as many of you have mentioned, chanting, hearing, reading, and so forth. It is doing something, right? There's no dullness there. Not forgetting. Not forgetting is guarding against the removal of Krishna from our mind, because there are so many things in our mind that can push Krishna away from our mind. That means we have to be vigilant. So this other part of not forgetting Krishna requires vigilance. It is preventing from something else taking over our mind. So that's the way I understood it. But as I said, you're all right. But whenever I read this, I always get confused as to why this is exactly the same. It looks like it's exactly the same thing, but it's slightly different. It's talking about two different tendencies of the mind: dullness and distraction. So that's they're bringing. So the acharyas are, by this one phrase, very expertly are bringing both the problems together and giving us a way to solve it. So that's one way that I also try to understand. Okay, so let's go to 12, 11. Oh, these two verses are together. 11, 12. Okay, so now this is about. So let's read it. To practice yoga, one should go to a secluded place and should lay kusha grass on the ground and then cover it with a deer skin and a soft cloth. The seat should be neither too high nor too low and should be situated in a sacred place. The yogi should then sit on it very firmly and practice yoga to purify the heart by controlling his mind, senses, and activities and fixing the mind on one point. So fixed posture, not too high, not too low, right? So then there is a mention about a deer skin. Deer skin, what I have heard, I'm not sure, I'm not fully certain yet, but I've heard that deer skin, it keeps snakes away. For some reason, I don't know why it is. It's suggested because it keeps the snake away from him. Right? And then the person has to make the place pretty comfortable for him. That's why there's a kusha grass, there is a deer skin, and on top of that, there's a soft cloth, right? So what should we all take care of based on this? When I say we, means as devotees. First thing is, it says sthiram asanam. What's that? Sthiram asanam. Sthiram asanam is firm seat place, right? So sthiram asanam. And then there is one more thing, shuchau deshe. Shuchau deshe means sanctified land. What is that? Yeah, so it has to be a clean place. Right? That's the first thing to keep in mind. The area should be clean. Even when we want to chant, if you all have noticed this, if a dirt area is very dirty where you're sitting, your mind will very easily get distracted. But if you have an area that's clean, if you have made a place for yourself where you sit and chant every day, The place is nice and clean. You don't see things scattered all over the place. And so that really gives you a focus. Then sthiram asanam, it refers to sitting properly and steady. If you sit in an awkward position, you won't be able to sit for a long time. That's why there is this, you call it a zafu. I don't know if you've all seen it, but I use it sometimes. When you sit on it, your body is slightly elevated and your legs are, or your knees are lower. In that posture, you can sit for a much, much longer time. So if you sit on a zafu is probably it's like a seat that is about, I don't know, 8 inches thick or something. And when you sit on it, then your legs are lower and your body is up. So that makes it a much more comfortable position to sit in. Prabhupada, I don't know if you've heard, there is a chanting session of Prabhupada where Prabhupada in the middle of it says, sit properly, because it's important to sit properly. You cannot just sit randomly with your legs spread out or, legs up and you down and all that. So it doesn't help. So you have to sit properly because your mind sees how your body is behaving and accordingly creates an environment. Then it's saying Tatre Agram Manaha. Where is that? Tatre Agram Manaha. Yeah, this one, right? Tatre Agram Manaha. Tatre Agram Manaha is Ekagra. It's fixed. Tatra, let's see what the meaning of it is. Ekagram, one attention, Manaha, mind. So that's what we do in chanting. Hearing ourselves when we chant. That's the Tatra Ekagram Manaha. And then there is Yatta Chittendriya Kriya. Yatta Chittendriya Kriya, what does it mean? Yatta Chitta, controlling the mind, senses, and activities. Right. So that's another thing. Controlling the mind. For the practice of sadhana, so this is a very good, this chapter gives very good guidelines for chanting, practice of sadhana. Atma Vishuddha should be the goal. That's the goal. Atma Vishuddha. Clarifying the heart, cleaning our heart. Right? Cheto Darpana Marjanam. That's what we do when we chant. We're cleaning our heart. So this verse is, the 11th verse is more of external and 12th is more of internal. If you see, clean place, steady seating, neither up, neither low, sitting on a grass and then all that. So that's more external things. Tatre Agram Manaha, Chittendriya, that's all external. That's the way these two are defined. 11 is external focus, 12 is internal focus. Right. And then Prabhupada, in the purport, let's see what is he saying. One who is not self-controlled and whose mind is not undisturbed cannot practice meditation. Therefore, in the Brhan Naradiya Puran, it is said that in Kali Yuga, when people in general are short-lived, slow in spiritual realization, and always disturbed by various anxieties, the best means of spiritualization is chanting the holy name of the Lord. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, kalau nasti eva nasti eva gatir anyatha. In this way, age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. So, okay, let me ask you all this. Why do you think this is said 3 times? There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. Can somebody give it a thought? Why would an Acharya put it in this way? Anybody who's not answered till yet? Pratyush Prabhu, yes, go ahead.
Prabhuji, I have heard in lectures that to emphasize more to something, we call it more time. So that's
Yes.
why here emphasis is given on the Hari Naam is the only way to get free from everything in this Kali Yuga.
Yeah, it is for emphasis. Yes, that's good. Yes, emphasizing it. That's why it's being said 3 times. I've also heard His Holiness Gaur Govind Swami Maharaj, in one of his classes, he said that it is for Gyan, Dhyan, and Karma Yogas, that those 3 are not the way. So that is why he says it 3 times. Okay, Jnana, Dhyana, Karma. So those 3. There is no other way, no other Dhyana way, no other Jnana way, no other Karma way. But yes, it's also for emphasis. That's also I have. Thank you. So yes, so this is there. 13, 14. Let's see what that is saying. One should hold one's body, neck, and head erect in a straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. This is interesting here. Krishna is bringing himself into the picture. What? Oh, sorry. What did I do? Krishna is saying, Manha samyamya matchitto yukta asita matparaha. Matchitto, focusing the mind on me, matparaha, make me the ultimate goal. So he's bringing him, Krishna is now bringing himself into the picture, right? So it starts with Shamam Kaya Shirogriva. Hold in one straight line. Body, neck, and head. Yes, that's what is being told, that keep those in the straight line. Our physiology, it affects our psychology. Our posture defines how attentive our mind is. You know, I'm sure at one point or the other, your mother might have told you, don't read while you're lying down. Sit properly. Sit on a proper chair. At least my mother used to tell me a lot of that. Don't sit while you're lying down on the bed, like as if, so that you won't be able to remember a lot. So our posture defines how attentive our mind is. And then there is this dharayan. The word dharayan is here. Dharayan means holding. So it's not just in the posture, but also in one's attention. So that's also important. The attention is also important. And then this word is achalam, not wavering. It's not wavering. And that's one more. Achalam is there. What else is sthira? So kind of this similar sounding words, but they are slightly different. Achalam means non-wavering. Right? And then we have samprikshaya neshkagram swam. Nasikagram swam, sorry. Nasika means nose, agram at the tip. So asking us to focus on the tip of our nose. So when you focus on the tip, and obviously Prabhupada didn't ask us to do that, so we don't have to follow it, but just looking at it from an Ashtanga Yoga perspective. When somebody's focusing on their nose, it avoids falling asleep. Second, as we are breathing through the nose, and breathing is an important part of yoga, we are focusing on the organ doing that task. So it kind of helps us focus in Ashtanga Yoga. Yeah. Obviously, there is this swam, your own nose, not anybody else's nose. Right? That's what I think the meaning of swam, yes, own. Let's just focus on your own nose. Don't focus on others. That's not our goal here. We're not here to fix the world. Just here to give up, do bhakti and go back home. Right? And then dishas chanava lokayan. Don't look here and there. So that's something, it's an important way of explaining how to do that. And we can always use all this in our bhakti practices, but be careful. You have to also be sure that it is recommended and approved by acharyas. As I said, the nose thing, I've not, at least personally, never heard Prabhupada say it. So I don't recommend it. I don't tell anybody to do it. Okay, so let's look at the next part. Prashantatma Vigata Bhir. So Vigata Bhir is give up fear. Right? So let's say Prashantatma is, where's that? Unagitated mind. And Vigata Bhir is devoid of fear. Now, that's an important thing. Is being highlighted here. Devoid of fear. And we'll talk a bit more about it, but let's go and see. Brahmacharya Vrate, celibacy. You have to be situated in celibacy. And then it says, Manha samyamya matchitto yukta asita matparaha. Now, this is a very troublesome verse for impersonalists, right? Because impersonalists say, oh, no, Bhagwan. But here, Krishna is saying, focus on me. Right? Even though it's Ashtanga Yoga, Krishna is still telling, focus on me. So it's interesting. Bhagavad Gita, it talks of many paths, right? And we have discussed this, that Krishna eventually brings everything back to bhakti. But Krishna does not delineate these other paths in detail, right? Because Bhagavad Gita is like an emergency book, was spoken on a battlefield. And Arjun is not asking details of a path. He's just asking, what should I do? So So that's what. So in career restlessness, for example, if anybody goes for career counseling, they don't describe every single course exhaustively. They just give you an overview. Plus minus are given, and the student makes intelligent choice. So that's why Bhagavad Gita does not read. So somebody can ask you, hey, Krishna is talking about Dhyan Yoga. Why isn't he talking about it in 5 chapters? Just because it's an emergency book. I keep just wanted to highlight that also. Just popped up in my mind. Somebody had asked me this question. So yes, in Prabhupada, interestingly, he talks a lot about brahmacharya throughout this. He talks about sex life. How do you like, one thing that he highlights is a householder brahmachari. I love this phrase very much. Householder brahmachari. Who is a householder brahmachari? Who is engaged in sex life according to what Shastras have tell us. So dharma viruddha bhuteshu kamosmi bhartarshava. Krishna says that I am sex life that is according to dharma. So a person who's following that principle, even while being in a householder life, can be a brahmachari. Prabhupada is saying. Whereas somebody who's practicing Ashtanga Yoga has to have complete abstinence, has to be like a grahastha cannot do Ashtanga Yoga in that sense. So again, this shows a restriction to this path. Whereas bhakti is for everybody, any place in any walk of life can follow bhakti. So that's another restriction of Dhyana Yoga. Why it's not of much value for it. Okay, so the one thing I was talking about was about Vigatabhi, which is being devoid of fear. Can somebody give me a thought? Why would not being fearful have anything to do with Ashtanga Yoga? You're just doing yoga, right? Why does fear come into the picture? What does fear do that can affect our Ashtanga Yoga?
It would
Somebody who's
affect
not
the dhyan.
okay, can affect your dhyan. Somebody who has not spoken, somebody else who has not spoken till yet. What is that? Anybody? Naval Kishori Mataji, are you there? Want to give it a try?
Prabhuji, sorry, I was driving. I couldn't hear properly.
Okay,
Can you
that's
say
okay.
it again?
I was asking that Krishna is highlighting Vigata Bhir, which means devoid of fear. I was asking why would Krishna say, or what effect does fear have on this yoga practice? So why should I avoid it? That's what I was just seeing if anybody has any thoughts around it. You can give it a thought and come back. It's okay if you're driving. Anybody else who wants to give it a thought? Hemavati, you want to give it a thought? Anything on your mind? Why would Krishna ask us to be devoid of fear?
Fear is the source of ego, anger. So with that, we cannot concentrate.
Well, that's a good one. Yeah. Fear can eventually bring us into a state of anger. Yeah, that's very good. Okay. Anybody else wants to give it a try? Somebody else, last choice. Anybody? Sanvi, you're there. You want to give it a try?
Fear could kind of be like a cause for doing bhakti. Like a lot of people do bhakti just because they're like fearful of like God and stuff. So it could be like kind of a way to like Krishna might be saying like have a different motivation for doing Ashtanga yoga instead of just doing it out of fear.
Okay. Yeah. So fear could be it won't be, your heart wouldn't be in what you're doing, even though you're just superficially and physically executing. Okay. Makes sense. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Some good points. Yes. One thing I just want, and all of them again, and we'll see what Prabhupada is saying. Let's just go through that then first. Okay. Vigat Tabhi. One cannot be fearless unless one is fully in Krishna consciousness. A conditioned soul is fearful due to his perverted memory, his forgetfulness of his eternal relationship with Krishna. The Bhagavatam 11.2.37 says, Bhayam dvitiya abhiniveshata syad, ishadapitasya viprayo smriti. Krishna consciousness is the only basis for fearlessness. So this is an interesting thing. Prabhupada is quoting this verse, which means, if you just break down this verse, bhayam, dvitiya. So dvitiya means duality, where I see myself away from Krishna. Okay, see, the Krishna is separate, I am separate. I've turned my face away from Krishna. That's where bhayam comes from. It says viprayo smriti. Viprayo means opposite smriti. My memory is just turned up, other way around. Right? So because now it makes me feel that I am all by myself, and that's the source of fear for me in my heart. That's a major reason why we become fearful, because I feel I'm all by myself in this world. I have to fix everything. If something wrong is happening to me, I become fearful because I don't see the bigger picture, that there is somebody who's controlling everything. There's a lesson in something. That's why all that fear comes from. And that fear, I think, as many of you have pointed out, that fear, when we do bhakti in fear, we are not able to progress in bhakti. Bhakti has to come from a platform of fearlessness. And it's not like the day you start practicing, you'll become fearless. It's a gradual thing. You will gradually become fearless day after day. It's proportional to your faith in Krishna. As our faith in Krishna increases, our fearlessness will also increase. We'll become more and more fearless because we'll be seeing Krishna's hand in him. So to practice any form of yoga, fearlessness is very important. However, only in bhakti can we become fearless, because we see Krishna as our well-wisher, as a father, a mother, a parent. He's taking full care of, and we are just like a child, right? There's a verse in Balam Hitam. What is that verse? There's a verse that Prithu Maharaj says when Lord Vishnu comes to see him, that please don't grant me a boon, but be like a father, as the father already knows what the child wants. You just award me that. So that makes us fearless, because I know my father will take care of. He's my well-wisher. Right. One thing I want to highlight here is devotee fearful of something? Can anybody give me a quick answer? Is devotee fearful of something? Can somebody think of something that devotee is fearful of?
Yeah, Prabhuji, devotee is fearful of forgetting Krishna, or things which come in life which deviate from Krishna consciousness.
Okay. Yes. Anybody else?
That takes away from Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yes.
Losing association of devotees.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yes, losing association of devotees. Yes. Who else wants to say something? Who hasn't spoken yet? Okay, go ahead, Sandeep. Go ahead.
Life going waste. Not being a devotee, good devotee.
Okay, that's good. Yes, wasting our lives. Yep. Who else wants to say? Who hasn't spoken yet?
Offending devotees.
Offending devotees, yes. It's a hati matta aparad. When we hurt devotees, when we offend devotees, it's sure shot to wipe off all our bhakti. It's just hard. It's not necessarily wipe off. Sorry, I used the wrong phrase. At least it means it freezes our bank account, bhakti bank account. I think I brought this out some classes ago, that our bhakti, Krishna says, right? Nyabikarmo nasosti pratyavayo na vidyate swalpam vapyasya dharmasya trayato mahato bhav. Even a little bit of bhakti done in this can take away all your fear, and you never lose it. So somebody can ask that, oh, when we say that if you offend devotees, we lose our bhakti, what does it mean? It just means that Krishna freezes our bank account, because we have behaved in a way that is not conducive to the bhakti that we have. So Krishna freezes that account, and then we go through some suffering, we have to learn some lessons, and then slowly come back. And Krishna opens up the account for us. Yes, so yes, devotees are afraid also. They are afraid of Maya. And then, if I fall trap to Maya, I'll get lost. I'll lose my services. I get valiant in my services, right? So the best way out of that is to always strictly following the order of the spiritual master.
Also, Prabhuji urges our tongue, because that is the cause of everything, right?
Yes, urges of our tongue. Yes, devotee is always afraid of that, taking care of our tongue, right? Devotees know, but the devotees know if they're following the path given by the spiritual master, there's nothing to fear then. and everything will be provided. Right? Whatever goals we set, we just do it to serve Krishna. I will be in anxiety of fulfilling them, no doubt. But I'll be very sure that when they'll come to pass, Krishna Mahaprabhu will make them happen. So yes, devotees are also fearful. And sometimes if fear comes in our lives, we all get some stages. There might be some stages where fear it comes like a forceful river in our life. Just try to rechannel yourself. Pray to Krishna. Hear some kirtan. Listen to some kirtan that you like. Initially, you might feel that, it's not having an effect on me. I was fearful and I prayed and then I heard some kirtan, but it didn't work. No, slowly it will. Redirection is what is needed. And find what is that redirects it for you. Right? So another way to handle if the fear comes like a forceful river is restriction. We can have someone to whom we can talk, and then that person can bring us back to reality. That, hey, you're just exaggerating things. If you can, one thing that is we can do is we can remove the emotion from the fact. And then, nothing is as bad as it looks, nothing is as good as it looks. So somebody who understands us can help us also. So, so those are a couple of things that can help us. But yeah, fear is an important thing. Okay, let's go to 15. Thus, practicing constant control of body, mind, and activities, the mystic transcendentalist, his mind regulated, attains to the kingdom of God, or the abode of Krishna, by cessation of material existence. This is an outcome of what happens to the person we have been talking about in 11, 12, 13, 14. Right? In 14, Krishna said, what was that? Matchitta matpara. He said, Matchitto yuktashita matpara. So he said that in these 14, that verse. And now he's saying mat samstham. So what does the word mat samstham mean? Let's see. Samstham, the spiritual sky, the kingdom of God. So 14, it was Matchitta Matpara. Here it's Mat Samstham. So that's what is being asked here. There is an interesting Prabhupada is saying ultimate goal is practicing yoga is now clearly explained. That eventually going back home, back to Godhead is the goal of every single type of practice that we are doing. Jnana yoga, Dhyan yoga, Ashtanga yoga, whatever it all culminates in bhakti. Right? Okay, so there is this phrase here which I like very much. There is no void anywhere within the creation of the Lord. Or let's just read before that to get a feel of what Prabhupada is talking about. One who seeks an improvement in health or aspires after material perfection is no yogi, according to the Bhagavad Gita. Nor does cessation of material existence entails one entering into the void, which is only a myth. Prabhupada's Pranam Mantra says, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi. Shunyavadi means voidism. There are some sections of society, some beliefs that everything is void. After this, it's all just void. Prabhupada is saying it's void, it's only a myth. There is no void anywhere within the creation of the Lord. Rather, the cessation of material existence enables one to enter into the spiritual sky, the abode of the Lord. And then there we have a lot of activity. There is no void anywhere. Okay, so who can tell me what does this mean? There is no void anywhere within the creation of the Lord. Right? So what does Prabhupada mean by that? Does Prabhupada mean that there is no physical empty space in this creation? Right? Does he mean that? What do you understand by this statement?
Can I try to?
Yes, please go ahead.
That means probably is like Krishna is in everything. Everything is related to Krishna. So
yeah, that's
everywhere there is no void.
Yeah, there is no void. Right? That's a very good answer. Yes, because Krishna is everywhere. So Prabhupada is highlighting that Prabhupada is rejecting the idea which which this society has created, that there is nothing beyond this life. It's all a void. There are a lot of people that believe in this concept of voidism. Yeah? And the reason they do that is because they want to enjoy their senses. If there is nothing after this life, and anyway, there is no outcome to this life, then I can do whatever I want to do with my life. I can do all sort of nonsense activities. That could be a way to convince myself to do all sort of nonsense activities. So people who are in the mode of ignorance and who have intense desire for sense gratification support the philosophy of voidism. And Prabhupada was very strongly against this concept of voidism. That's what Prabhupada wanted to establish. Right? Right. Void. Prabhupada is saying there is nowhere where Krishna is absent, as Mataji was saying. So there's no place that is nothing. Right? Because everything is pervaded by Krishna's energy and presence. Even in an empty space, there is Krishna's energy. There is Krishna's control. There is Krishna's presence there. Even if your room is completely empty, not a single piece of furniture is in there, there might be a billion microbes floating around in that place, which all of them has Paramatma in their heart. Right? So it's not empty, it's filled. Right? So that's a very good way of looking at it. So there's no void anywhere within the creation of the Lord. Okay, Prabhupada is saying a consummate yogi who is perfect in understanding Lord Krishna, as is clearly stated herein by the Lord himself, Mat Chitta, Mat Para, Mat Sthanam, can attain real peace and can ultimately reach his supreme abode, Krishna Loka, known as Goloka Vrindavan. Okay, let's go to 16. There is no possibility of once becoming a yogi. Is somebody saying something? Yes, Sandeep, go ahead.
Yeah, Prabhu. Prabhu, like my question is about the previous shloka about the fear thing. You asked this beautiful question. So, Prabhuji, isn't it like a utility of fear in any devotee's life? Because I mean, I understand like we should be fearful that okay, if we don't do it right, we might not get Krishna eventually, and we might get distracted and all of that. We should be doing like our best effort. But isn't actually utility of fear itself? Because the problem is like when we fear, right, we kind of think that Krishna is like an accountant, who's like keeping our records. But Krishna is all merciful, right? So he don't like go by mistakes and things like that as long as we are sincere. So because wouldn't like an ideal devotee life be like total fearlessness?
Yes, Prabhu. A pure devotee will be fearless. However, we all are not pure devotees. At least I am not. I can't say about you all. I have to be very careful with this material world. I don't know if you've read, there is a story in Srimad Bhagavatam. I think it comes in 12th canto, 11th canto probably. Which Muni was that? He wanted to see Krishna's material energy. Anybody remembers which Muni was that? And then he sees Krishna on a leaf, sucking his toe as a baby.
Markandeya Muni.
Markandeya Muni, okay. Yeah, so he wanted to see Krishna's material energy. That was one of his desires. He's the perfect devotee. And he had to go through all this tribulation. He saw how that fire brought up that immense heat, and then there was this flood, and everything was devastated, and he had to suffer for a long time. So what Krishna was teaching him by that lesson is that don't take this Maya very casually. Okay? Because it's a healthy kind of a fear, right? We all have healthy fears, and there are some unhealthy fears. Healthy fear is like whenever you cross a road, you look on both sides of the road, even though the walk sign is on for us. That's healthy fear. That hey, I don't know, there might be some crazy driver on the road. So similarly, a devotee in a practicing stage, a sadhaka stage, has to be also very careful. So this fear is more of a healthy fear. But yes, Prabhu, you're right. A perfect devotee, a pure devotee is fearless. However, despite being fearless, he doesn't rush into things that can harm bhakti also. Keep that in mind also. Yes, he is fearless. But I'll give you an example. Prabhupada, in these early days when he came to United States, he was asked to give a talk. One of his disciples, he said, Prabhupada, there is this huge gathering of of people in a place. They're following this. There's some philosophy, and we can go and give a talk there. So Prabhupada went there, and he closed his eyes. He was chanting, and he did a long kirtan. When he opened his eyes, he saw that every single person sitting in front of him was naked. A boy, a girl, all of them were naked. It was a naked colony. It was a nude colony. And Prabhupada, yes, he did his kirtan, he gave a short class, and he came out of it. And he told his disciple, this is not a good place for a sannyasi. Not that he was afraid of being there. Prabhupada could practically make the whole universe a pure devotee. But he was cautious. So, sorry, I just wanted to highlight a few things. You are right in saying a pure devotee should not be fearful. However, he does not give up the caution, but just wanted to bring that out. Was that helpful, Prabhu? Makes sense?
Yeah, Prabhu. So as long as like that fear is conducive to your bhakti, right? But if it's not conducive, it's probably not worth putting too much effort.
It's not. Yeah, you're right. It's not worth putting it. Yeah. We have to be very careful, Prabhu. Many a times we become fearful in situation like, for example, there is a big concept of Vaishnava Aparadha in Islam. It's a wrong thing. We should not do it. But then sometimes that concept is also used by devotees to control other devotees. That, you cannot speak in front of me. I'm senior to you. I've been doing it for 20 years and you just come in. Don't speak in front of me. So it's also misused. It's not a good thing. I'm not saying it's a prevalent thing, but it could be, right? People could misuse that. So yes, then it's harmful. Then we don't need that kind of fear. We should not, then it's not proper bhakti. We should avoid it.
Yeah, probably. And just because, like sometimes being too fearful also kind of takes away that feeling that, Krishna is so merciful, right? So that's where,
yeah, it takes away that. You're right. You're exactly right. It takes away that. That is why we should, the simplest way we are given here in Shastras is, and I personally like the philosophy of, Lord Brahma. Let me pull up that. I'll show you that. There are a couple of verses that he brings out in 10th canto, 14th chapter, 3rd verse and the 8th verse are my favorite. Let me bring that out. 10, 14, 8, 3. Let's start with 3. I'm not sharing the screen. I'll share the screen. Ten, 14, 3. So it says, Jnane prayasya udapasya namantayeva jivanti sanmukariya bhavati avar. Sthane sthita shruti-gatam tanuvan manobir. Ye prayaso jita jito apiyasi tes trilokyam. Those who, even while remaining situated in their established social positions, throw away the process of speculative knowledge and with their body, words, and mind offer all respects to descriptions of your personality and activities, dedicating their lives to these narrations which are vibrated by you personally and by your pure devotees, certainly conquer your lordships, although you're otherwise unconquerable by anyone within these 3 words. This is one verse, and then the other one was 8th verse, which says, My Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reaction of his past misdeeds, and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. What Lord Brahma is stressing upon is you just do your duty. You just do whatever you have been asked to do by your spiritual master, like for Prabhupada has given us 4 regulative principles and chanting. If we just stick to these 5 basic things, 4 regulative principles and chanting, we can become liberated. We become, as it says, rightful claim to the heir of kingdom of God. So there is no place for fear. 4 regulative principles and chanting sincerely, just hearing that sincerely. We are ready. We are perfect. There's nothing to fear in this. It's an unhealthy fear if you try to bring it and doesn't let you do these basic things. So I just want to bring this as an evidence into what we're discussing.
Thank you, Prabhu. That really helps.
Yeah, you're welcome. This is a very good chapter. If all you have not read it, just read this. There are just beautiful verses. 10th canto, 14th chapter. I just love it. There are 55 verses in total, if I remember correctly. And it's beautiful verses. Brahma is making good prayers. Okay, so let's come to which verse you would be. 15 we did, I think. Yeah, we talked about the void aspect. Let's do 16. 16 and 17 are about balance. Okay. There is no possibility of one's becoming a yogi, O Arjun, if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. And let's just see the next verse is also something similar. He who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material planes by practicing the yoga system. So the first one is asking us to balance. The second one is giving us the benefit of balancing. It takes away all our material pains. That's a very interesting thing. It takes away our material pains, right? Let's go back to the earlier verse. Right? So Prabhupada is saying regulation of diet and sleep is recommended herein for the yogis. So regulation of diet, as we have read, right, it means that we have to eat the right thing. So regulation of diet and sleep are the beginning of this whole yoga process. Right? So regulation of sleep, Prabhupada, I think he'll highlight this in this section or probably the next one. Here, okay, he says, one should not sleep more than 6 hours daily. Right? One who sleeps more than 6 hours out of 24 hours certainly influenced by the mode of ignorance. A person in the mode of ignorance is lazy and prone to sleep a great deal. Such person cannot perform yoga. This also stands for bhakti. However, one caveat, Prabhupada had said this in his other classes. It's not that everybody will need 6 hours of sleep. Some people might sincerely need 8 hours of sleep. It's more of probably a physical, psychophysical aspect. So Prabhupada does not refuse that. He's not only 6 hours. Some people might need more than 6 hours of sleep. However, the important part is that it should not come out from a platform of laziness. That's the important aspect. If it's a demand of your body that yes, I need 8 hours of sleep, then it's okay. Sometimes, but then if you can bring it to 6, very good. But if you feel no, my body needs 8 hours to function properly during the day, to do my chanting properly, then it's okay. And an easy way of doing it is just trying it out. Try to sleep for 6 hours for a few days at a stretch and see how your body reacts to it. Initially, obviously, it will be hard. But if you keep on doing it for some time, you'll start seeing, no, it's actually beneficial for me. Right? And I'm not asking you to do it on day one. You can slowly cut down time. Cut it down 30 hours, 30 minutes today, 30 minutes next week, 30 minutes tomorrow. So try it. Probably you might just need 6 hours of sleep. So, yeah. So basically, the beginning of yoga practice is asking about regulation. It's talking about regulation, right? There are 3 things that that not just I've heard other acharyas say. Self-care is important for sure. Right? There has to be a hygiene surrounding. There should be a how well are we situated in body, mind, and words. So there has to be some hygiene. There has to be sadhana. How well are we taking care of the soul? And there has to be siksha. How well are we taking care of our time? Right? Self-care. How well are we taking care of our body? Sadhana. How well are we taking care of our soul? Siksha. How well are we taking care of the time that has been allotted to us? Are we using it for learning and growing? Do we spend time in skill development for ourselves? For us, our skill development is reading Shastra, chanting, hearing, and so forth. Right? Because we all have been awarded some resources which we have to learn to manage. That's why regulation is important and being highlighted here. For example, one thing that's been awarded to us, a resource, is family. Right? We have family, we have relationships. We have to learn to monitor them. We have to balance them also. Then we have occupation, varna. What is our varna? That's our occupation. Then there is seva. We have services. Right? So all those are resources that have been awarded to us, and we have to learn to balance our life so that we can manage all these. And each one of them can, at some point, something can be more important than other. For example, if I fall sick, self-care becomes important. I have to take care of my body. Sometimes, okay, when I'm perfectly healthy, I have a free day today, holiday. I increase my sadhana that day. That's what Ekadashi is meant for. Because we don't have to spend time thinking what to cook, eating it, then digesting that heavy food. We spend that time in sadhana. Right? So these things someday can be up, sometimes the other can be up. We learn to balance them. Right? So balance is not static, it's dynamic. Keep that in mind. It's not balance doesn't mean that you're always at point 1 the whole time. Balance just means that you can always bring yourself to that point. If there is some diversion, yes, okay, fine. Life happens. Then you bring yourself back to that main point. That's what balance is. But the goal is Anyabhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmana Anyabhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Navritam Anukulena Krishnanushilam Shevram Bhakti Ruchyate. That we do favorable bhakti towards Krishna. And that happens through self-control, balance, discipline that Krishna is teaching us, that Prabhupada is highlighting. We can always fall down, but falling down is not important. Do we rise after falling down is important. Because if you keep falling down and you keep rising, eventually you will win. There's no doubt. But if you refuse to rise up again, that's where we have lost the battle. And we all will go through the influence of our desires in our life. There will be phases for all of us. Initially, we'll be just failures, helpless failures. I know people who are so scared of the regulative principles that Prabhupada have given us that they don't want to join Krishna consciousness. Right zero, day zero, you're a failure, helpless failure. Then the next level of people are, there is struggle, but still they are failures, right? Right? So there is some struggle. We are trying, but still we are failing. Then there is struggle in success. You are determined. You're taking guidance, as we talk. You're taking guidance from somebody that we talked about, right? Those 4 aspects in our mind control. We talked about that, right? That what was that? Let me see. Yeah, neglect, positive engagement, assigning defaults, and taking superior instructions. Those are the 4 things. So, struggle and success. You're struggling, but you're successful. Like I'm sure all of you go through the same thing. Every morning, whenever I have to wake up, my mind tells me, oh no, today can be rest. But I tell no. I have to get up, I have to chant, I have to hear, read before I go to work, so I need to get up. So that's some amount of determination is needed. So that's the struggle in success. I'm struggling, still I'm struggling. I'm a sadhaka, I'm a practicing devotee. I've not yet attained devotion. And the last and the most important step is effortless success. There we have fully controlled our temptations and we are going to be successful without even putting an effort in it. So that's why balance is so important, because the balance will take you through all these steps: helpless failure, struggle in failure, struggle in success, and then effortless success. But it only be achieved if you continue to do that thing, if you continue to put that determined effect in it, that determination. Okay, let's go further. 17. What's the time? 8:11. Okay. Yeah, so it's about regulating habits, sleeping, eating, sleeping, recreation, and work. Right? So 4 aspects that are being highlighted here. So there's the word that is being used here by Krishna is yukta. Yukta is an important. Yukta ahara, yukta chetasya, yukta swapna bodhasya. So the word yukta means regulated. So it's an important word that Krishna is repeatedly using, yukta. So yukta comes from the word yoga. The root word is yoga. So yuj. Yuj is the root word for yoga. Yuj is the root word for yukta. And that means to connect, basically. So the whole purpose of regulation is to connect to Krishna. And it also means regulated. But if you try to go deeper into the philosophical aspect, that's what it is. And then what needs to be connected and regulated? One thing is the eating, right? Ahar. That's the word ahar. Krishna is using the word yukta ahar. Ahar is eating here, right? So is eating. I think in Prabhupada, where's that? Okay, we didn't bring that. I was looking for something. But yes, so eating. Ahar, as we read in the Nectar of Instruction, Atya ahar. Ahar can be food also, but ahar could also mean taking in something that's not needed for your body. 24-hour news channel. I called up my mother today morning and she was asking me, there is so much of war going on. And I told Mama, I don't watch news. But says, oh, your papa is watching news the whole time. So I was asking my father, why are you watching news? You're in India. India is not even involved in the war. So we don't need that much. But I know my father's retired, he's in his 70s and he's retired. He just needs something to fill his time. But at our level where we are fully still in our grast ashram, we are engaged, we have jobs to do and so much, and we don't have to necessarily take those things in that divert our mind, unnecessarily strain our intelligence and mind, and just puts us in fear. We don't want to do that. So ahara can mean anything that is an input to our senses. It can mean food also, but I'm just giving you another aspect to it. Ear, nose, eyes, they all can have their ahara. We have to regulate them. So then, cheshta, what was that? Yukta cheshta. Yukta cheshtasya. The word cheshtasya, of one who works for maintenance. That is work. Yukta cheshtasya. Body maintenance activities, basically. Whatever you're doing to maintain your body is your work. Okay? So if we practice this all with regulation and connectedness with Krishna, such yoga practice will destroy all misery in life. So some people, I've met some devotees who have told me that, oh my God, since I've come in bhakti, things have become so much harder for me. It is because they have gone to the extremes. Too much austerity. I have been through that phase. I know it. It's weird. So when we put in too much austerity, life becomes miserable actually. Even in bhakti can be miserable. For example, somebody gives you service and you're not able to say no. You just keep on piling service and you get frustrated. Oh my God, I can't do this so much. But that's our problem, not that other people's problem. Right? So we have to practice these rules. We should always slow down to gain perspective and see what is ahara for me, what is work for me, what is recreation for me. So that's something to keep in mind. For a devotee, prescribed duty is any activity that takes us closer to Krishna. Any professional or occupational duties we are doing, we should perform them in a way to make our life as conducive as possible, as harmonious as possible for spiritual growth. Let's just keep that in. Okay. She's not connected to Krishna's interest, and there's always peace within all world. There's no material misery for her. So by observation, introspection, association with devotees, guidance of Guru, we learn about ourselves and we subsequently align ourselves with Krishna. Unfortunately, sometimes we think I can figure it out myself. I'll figure out this bhakti process. I don't need any guidance. But that's harmful. That's harmful. We should not think that way. Another thing that harms us in bhakti is when we start, as they call it, window shopping. Window shopping means, I know devotees personally, they say, oh, on Friday, yes, Sunday we come to the temple. Friday I go to, Swami Narayan. Thursday I go to Hanuman Mandir. Tuesday I go there. It's nothing but it's a very Western mentality, Western world mentality, a shopping mentality. Shopping around for masters, shopping around for teachings, without any continuity or real sustained dedication for any one discipline. Right? I'm not saying blindly stick to something randomly. No, don't. I'm not saying don't question or evaluate. What I'm saying is once you find something that is genuine, an effective path, you go deep into it without switching. That's something to keep in mind. And that's what is also an important part here, that why we cannot progress in bhakti is because of we are fully brought ourselves to that level of understanding. We haven't fully aligned ourselves with Krishna. Okay. Let's go to 18. Any thoughts or comments here before I move forward? Okay. 19.
Prabhu, that word recreation in the last shloka, I think for devotees like in ISKCON especially, right? Our recreation should be mostly tailored only to things related with Krishna, right? Not like, let's say, movie watching or whatever, right? Other material recreation.
Yes, you can say that. Yeah. That's what a balanced recreation would mean. And it's not like you cannot have fun, watching movies, okay. We went to watch that Lord Narasimha movie. But just be careful that what you are recreating or what you are getting involved in does not affect your bhakti negatively. That's important for us. It's not like devotees cannot go out for picnic, they cannot play games. Yeah, they can. But it should not affect your bhakti. That's the thing. So that's what recreation would mean.
Because it almost means like when it says balanced recreation, right? It's more like some varied amount of different activities, not just like, related to Krishna only. That's what,
For example, I'll give you an example. Mahaprabhu, with all his devotees, they would go swimming. And sometimes there, Nityanand Prabhu and Advaitacharya Prabhu, they would joke with each other. Advaitacharya Prabhu would say to Nityanand Prabhu, oh, you're an Avdhuta. I don't know what caste you are from. And he would make fun of each other, just, lighthearted joking around. So it's okay to do that. And there's also when Mahaprabhu and Nityanand Prabhu come to eat prasadam at Advaitacharya Prabhu's house, Advaitacharya Prabhu, he says, oh, I didn't invite you, Nityananda Prabhu. So you're like joking. So I'm just saying that it's not like devotees cannot have fun. There's no harm in having that. But that fun should not harm your bhakti. That's what I mean. Okay. When the yogi, by practice of yoga, disciplines his mental activities and becomes situated in transcendence, devoid of all material desires, he is said to be well established in yoga. So what do you do when you balance everything, right? And then you are established, that means you are well established in yoga. This is verse 18. Now let's see what Prabhupada is saying something here. Prabhupada, I don't know if you all know this. This is a verses from 9th canto. This is about Amrish Maharaj. Prabhupada has brought this twice in the whole Bhagavad Gita. He brings out this whole set of verses twice. One in the second chapter also, and then here, second chapter, I think it's the second chapter? Yeah, I think it's second chapter. Yeah, second chapter towards the end of the second chapter. The Siddha Pragya verses 54 to 72, somewhere in there. But yeah, this is a very important verse. So Prabhupada really loved these. That's why he used to bring this out. He looks like he was very fond of this. Amrish Maharaj, how he controlled, right? And so you can see that when you read it, he would use his feet to go to the temple, hands to clean the temple, and so forth. There's a lot of things in here. So that's what Prabhupada is saying, that person is fully established in yoga. So let's see. Prabhupada is the senses and the mind require engagement. Simple abnegation is not practical. Therefore, for people in general, especially those who are not in renounced order of life, transcendental engagement of the senses and the mind is described above is the perfect process for transcendental achievement, which is called yukta in Bhagavad Gita. Simple abnegation is not practical. I really like this part of Prabhupada saying there. You cannot just force yourself to give something up. You cannot be zero. You need some engagement, right? Yes, we are if you see a life as a number line, we are a negative. We practice these rules and regulations, we come to zero, but then we need some positive engagement that is in bhakti. So we cannot just stay at level, okay, yes, I have just rejected my sense enjoyment. We cannot stay there. Abnegation is not practical. Right? If you have a raccoon as a pet, you can keep him in the house, but the moment he hears another raccoon from the forest, the raccoon is going to run away. So you cannot just forcefully keep a raccoon, make a pet out of a raccoon. The simple abnegation is not practical. That's what Prabhupada means here. Okay, let's see what is 19. Okay, Krishna brings an analogy here. As a lamp in a windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist whose mind is controlled remains always steady in his meditation on the transcendent self. And so Prabhupada is saying it's a constant, undisturbed meditation for a devotee. Right? So that means that the person is not restless. For example, if I could describe Prabhupada was very alert, but he was not restless. Prabhupada was extremely active without being passionate. Right? So what that means is alert means you're fully aware, you're present, you are attentive, you're not agitated. And that's a sthira mind, that's steadiness, not pulled by desires, distractions, or anxieties. There, the attention that's being given here, what as Prabhupada is saying, undisturbed meditation, that is intentional. You want that. You're not forcing yourself to do it. So Prabhupada, and so similarly, Prabhupada was, he was never restless. His urgency was never driven by ego or desires. There was no anxiety or intensity. But still, Prabhupada was extremely quick and efficient, but internally calm, detached, and purposeful. If you have read Prabhupada's Leela-amrita, there is a section where Prabhupada is working towards a temple in Juhu. There is a person called Mr. Nair who wants to cheat Prabhupada, he wants to cheat ISKCON. He has taken some token money for the land, but then he's trying to create some troubles, and now he's trying to push the devotees out of that land, because that was his job. He would initially take a token money, and then somehow he will create some nuisance and push the person who has taken up the land somehow. That's what he was trying to do. So Prabhupada was having a heated argument with him sitting in the room, telling him how he's making a mistake, and trying to cheat devotees is not good, Krishna will punish him. So Prabhupada was having a very heated argument with him. And the next moment, Prabhupada goes on the roof of the house and he gives a class. Simple, calm, peaceful, gives a wonderful class. So that's what Prabhupada was about. So that's the analogy you can think of, lamp in a windless place. Right? So if somebody asked, Prabhupada, okay, what is your day look like? And Prabhupada said, oh yeah, we wake up at 3, we chant, then we do Tulsi Aarti, and then we do darshan, then we do classes and so forth, and then we do take prasada. And just, okay, when do you come out of this activity? Prabhupada said, we never come out of these activities. A yogi never comes out of his meditation. Okay? He never leaves his meditation. He's 24/7 in meditation, Prabhupada and Prabhupada. That's practice. Okay. One thing here, the word Atmana is being used. The word Atmana here is not referring to soul. Okay. Atmana is indicating here as the Paramatma. As we have talked about, this chapter is more about Paramatma realization. In later chapters of when it comes to Bhakti, then we will see the word Atma being referred to as Bhagavan. So we'll see that. We'll come to it. So, but just to keep in mind, Atma can be used different. Let's see next verse. Oh, this is a long one. We'll start this the next week. We're already at 26. Okay. Any last minute thoughts, comments, questions, criticism? You didn't like something? Nothing? Okay. We will wrap up here.
I had one comment to make.
Yes, please.
When you were talking about taking care of self-care, I was thinking about when I was like just starting, and at one point I was like, I'm going to have every Ekadashi, I'm going to do like only water. But after like 3 months, this really started like hurting my head and everything. And I realized like this day should be where I should be like doing more, like, be more devotional. But most of my time is only going in this headache, in the suffering from pain. So I decided to like eat some Ekadashi prasad from that time onwards. So I think like if we go to too extreme, it's still not helpful because we are not spending any time in meditation anyways.
That's a good point. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, if you're if our austerity is taking away from our bhakti practices, it's of no use. It's useless. Prabhupada was once Prabhupada was asking his devotees to go to Russia and preach, and some of the devotees were very Prabhupada, there's nothing to eat there. There's no vegetarian food there. Prabhupada said, you go eat meat and then you preach. Obviously, that's not something we should do. Not a recommendation for us. I'm just giving an example. Prabhupada was not a stickler to rules and regulations. He wanted bhakti to be the center of everything. So yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, if Ekadashi fasting doesn't let you focus on bhakti and I'm already thinking about food, then I should not fast on Ekadashi. I should eat whatever food is available or according to the Ekadashi rituals, and just be happy and satisfied and do bhakti that way. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for sharing.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the class.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, everyone. Hare Krishna. I'll see you all.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.